Thank you everyone who joined this evening. My name is Barbara and I'm really excited to be here with you tonight. I am coming from an organization called Common Sense, and I have a lot of tips and resources to help you with distance learning at home. So just a little bit about myself. I'm the education program manager for Common Sense, and I actually work in the DC metro area. So I work with schools and districts and community organizations around this area, and have been doing a lot of work with MCPS. So I'm really excited to continue to be a part of the Parent Academy offerings this fall. And then I'm coming from Common Sense, and we are a nonprofit organization where we rate, educate, and advocate to ensure digital well-being for kids everywhere. And we have a lot of free resources that help support families, and I'm just really excited to share some of those with you tonight. So just framing our presentation this evening, I just want to get, just a temperature check. Just how is everyone feeling, and how are you doing with distance learning at home? So if you could just share some of your feelings in the chat, or just some things, maybe some things that are working really well. What I love about these parent academies is this a really great place for, families to share tips with each other. And then also, it's just really exciting to have different presenters come in too, but there's a really big value with the families that come to these presentations in terms of the things we can share with each other too. So if you have any just tips or things that are working for you, or just feelings about distance learning. I see someone putting that it is a lot, and yes, it definitely is, right? And just having that adjustment. So just recognizing that, and I just am really appreciative of everyone that was able to make it tonight to kind of chat about these things. So, distance learning is challenging, and screen time fatigue is real, right? And I'm sure we're all feeling it by the end of the day, and here we are now on another, video call, but screen time fatigue is real. So our kids are probably feeling this as well. And, we just have questions like, how do I know if my child's learning, right? Are we communicating enough, or are we over communicating at times? And, just kind of balancing all of this, and then just our work lives and just what's happening at home as well is starting to kind of blend together, right? And it has been for a while. So I just wanted to give some strategies and then some resources to help us, during this time for distance learning. And so the first strategy is to make space. So make space for everyone to do their work in. So this could be a designated space, or it could be a space that you set up, and it's just important that this space is something that is more of a routine, right? We're going to the space and we're going to go do, our work today. Maybe it's at the kitchen table, maybe it's setting up, a small space in the corner. I live in a small space, so, making space sometimes is difficult, but just knowing that I have a consistent place where I do my work is really helpful, and that's really helpful for kids as well. And then within that space, limiting distractions. So one of my biggest distractions is my cell phone, and that's a big distraction for our kids too. So just putting your phone in another place so that it's not, in the place that you're doing work. So you only have your Chromebook or whatever device that you're using at the time to do your work in that space. And then the next thing to do is just set routines. Routines are really important during these times. Otherwise, the days really seem to blend together. And at Common Sense, we do have a lot of templates to help families with setting routines. So you can see here, there's a morning routine and afternoon routines, and then just a time to reflect on how these routines are going, and then, make adjustments based on those and getting our kids feedback about that. But it's more about just having a routine and not necessarily, using the templates, but the templates are a really good thing to kind of start practicing, having your routine. So I put the link in the presentation to this template, and then we have a lot of additional templates to help organize distance learning at home as well. And so the next tip is to review expectations, and these are for families as a whole. So like, what are expectations in terms of when we're on devices and when we're off as a family? You know, if we're working at a certain time, and when schoolwork is happening, if we're having like device-free times, maybe at dinner, and so on and so forth. So this is just so everyone can get on the same page as a family. What are our agreements to each other for distance learning, and just, and home in general. And then we also have a template to help with, learning expectations for the individual child in terms of the schoolwork that they're doing. So we have digital learning pledges for the younger students, and then we also have, digital learning contracts for older students as well. And then it's really important to, create a brief check-in system with your kids, because just to see, like, how are you doing? Are you learning, right? Are you feeling good about the schoolwork that's coming to you? And, what can I do to help you? And some really great ways to do this is just to have a conversation with them. And so this is a template to, guide that conversation with their learning goals in mind, and just, some things to listen for as they're talking schoolwork, because it's really important for them to be able to talk to someone face-to-face about what's happening in school, since a lot of that isn't happening this year right now. And it also really helps you as a parent just to know where your child is, and so that everyone's on the same page of what work is happening. And then I just want to pause before we get into our next section. So I presented some templates that are available, and just want to see if there are any questions in the chat. Many of the templates I see that they are available in Spanish, and more will be coming as well. As we're adding new content, many will be available in Spanish as well.
So I do want to point out that there was one question.
Okay.
It says, working from home and being a teacher/mom is overwhelming. Can I write some of this off on taxes?
I say yes. If it was up to me, yes, right? And it is very taxing, right? But just remembering that you are doing a good job, and just kind of celebrating that with yourself, because I think we're all, feeling sometimes that we're not doing enough, but we are doing enough, and we're doing a good job, and just reminding ourselves of that. But yes, a tax write-off should be the next thing as well. I love that question. Any other questions, Kelly, coming in?
No, I think we've addressed them all. If anybody else has any questions, please, right now would be a good time to either type something in the chat or unmute yourself and share with us.
Yeah, and so the big parts of this section is just creating routines, and, finding a space where work can be done, and then just having conversations about the learning that's happening, where you can and when you can. And also just making sure like everyone knows each other's schedules. That's also really helpful. So your kids know, like, when you're in a meeting, or, when you have designated time that you need to like get your work done as well, just so that you have, more time with each other as you're balancing your schedules. Okay. And then the next thing I want to talk about is just screen time. We know that we're on screen time a lot more, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, right? It's helping us connect, it's helping us learn, right? And, a lot of times as parents, we feel like guilty that our, that we're using more screen time. But it's not really about the amount of screen time, it's about how they're using that screen time and how we're using it. So if we're using it to learn, if we're using it to connect, right, it's different than if we're just using it to consume. But that sometimes we need that too, right? We need that good show on Netflix that, you know, helps us wind down. But just knowing that during this time we're using more screen time, and that's okay. But what are some ways that we can monitor how we're feeling as we're using that screen time and, you know, create a balance? So the first thing about, you know, technology is that we can learn it, we can use it to learn, right? And there are so many ways to use technology to learn. You can learn about other cultures with games. There's apps and, you know, education technology sites that have learning that can happen, like Khan Academy. You can practice other languages. We're learning from home right now, and technology is really helping facilitate that. So there's a lot of great things that screen time and that technology is helping facilitate during this challenging time. And I wanted to share a resource that Common Sense has. If you're looking for additional like supplemental materials for your kids and, you know, for learning and engaging activities, and it's called Wide Open School. And I'm so sorry, I did not want to go to that. I actually want to go to Wide Open School. So I'm just going to go to Wide Open School. And in the presentation, there's a link to a video. It'll give you like a summary of what Wide Open School is. But Wide Open School has resources by subject and by grade band. So activities for students, and then there's also family and teacher resources, and then resources in Spanish as well. So just for an example, if we were looking for a student activity for grades 3 to 5, we can find a daily plan that has activities and things to do for those grades, which includes online and offline activities. Or we can look at resources by subject. So we're celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month this month, so you can find activities to celebrate here. We also have resources for emotional well-being, things to get, you know, creative with arts, music, and DIY. And then we also, one of my favorites is this field trip section, you know, because we're missing actually going to, you know, museums, parks, etc. So you can go on a lot of virtual field trips that the museums have set up. And so you can click on here and it will take you to that site where you can go on those virtual field trips together. So these are great things to do as a family at home and also on the weekends as well. So during the week or weekends. And then just to show you some of the resources in the Family Center, there's some more webinars that are available. And then there are resources for getting ready, right? So here's a lot of those resources I was sharing with you earlier. There's a digital learning pledge. There's that digital learning agreement for the upper grades. And then we also have, you know, resources on tips for media balance, parental controls, and, you know, just a lot of other things to help just set the stage for distance learning. And then some other really great things, learning motivation, you know, just helping with planning, helping your kids stay on task. And then also social emotional well-being, and then guidance with some of your school's tools, which I know MCPS has guidance on that as well. So if you have any questions on Wide Open School, please feel free to put those in the chat as well. And then just a reminder, like, it's not about the screen time, it's about that balance. So if you can say yes to these questions, then you're doing okay, right? And these actually come from the American Academy of Pediatrics. So a question we get often is like, how much screen time is too much screen time? And it's, not necessarily about the amount, it's about what you're doing with it. And, if your child is engaging with family, if they're engaging and achieving in school and having fun and pursuing their interests. But some ways to keep a balance, because it's important to have some downtime away from screens, is to create screen-free zones. So, dinner works a lot, really well for a screen-free time. So having a device-free dinner or a device-free breakfast, or just a time where everyone kind of puts their devices down, close their computers, and just engage with each other and have that like face-to-face contact, and just building those empathy skills and et cetera, and being able to talk to a person without a device there. So we do have a campaign and also resources for device-free dinners on our website to help you set that up. And then for our younger kids, we do have tips for tech balance. So these are generally geared towards parents of 3 to 8-year-olds. And this is a free program where you can get tips once a week just on how to kind of balance your time with media, and then just some other tips with technology. And you would receive them on your cell phone. You can get them in English or Spanish if you just text the word kids to 2155 or familia to the same number. Okay. And then for our older kids, it's just really helpful if they start like advocating for themselves, like how am I feeling at the end of the day? If I'm noticing that I'm really tired, maybe I need to take a break from my device. And, screen time for our older kids is really helpful. And it's also helpful for our younger kids too, if we're setting it up for them. But having our older kids kind of set up like, okay, I'm going to, turn my phone down at this certain time, right? Because I'm going to go to bed and not have it distract me while I'm sleeping. Or I'm going to have downtime while I'm doing my homework, right? Or doing my distance learning program. And then setting like app limits if they're noticing on their usage report, they're using a lot of time for Instagram or TikTok, and just starting to think about like how they're feeling and then making adjustments to their phone usage based on that screen time report. So this is free in the iPhone. And there is an article attached to this presentation here of just other tips of how to use your phone less that will get into more details about the screen time feature. But this feature is also available for Android. It's called Digital Wellbeing, and the names are slightly different, but they have a lot of the same functionality. So same thing, just like the screen time app, there's a dashboard that lets you know your usage. It also tells you, like, you can set do not disturb, and then you can also limit your notifications, which is really helpful. And then their wind down is very similar to the screen times, do not disturb function as well. So once again, there's more information if you're interested in how to use your phone less, or, encourage your kids, to advocate for themselves and using their phone less based on how they're feeling. Then you can go to that article as well. And then another really important thing is just to take some movement breaks. Get up and do some fun activities, take a walk, do some fitness. There's a lot of different things that you can do to get moving. And these could be really quick too, like a 5-minute, 10-minute exercise. And on Wide Open School, we have a lot of examples of these and just links to different resources that can help get you and your kids moving during the day and afterwards. So you can select by grade band, and then you'll see all of the different activities that can get you and your kid moving, and just taking a break from that screen time, an eye break as well. So you can also see there's like different activities, videos, and then, some other things available to get moving. Okay. And then the next thing, for about screen time is just thinking about the quality of the digital media that you're having. So quality over quantity. And Common Sense does ratings and reviews of books, movies, TV, games, apps, and things that can really help, with learning at home. And so we have those ratings and reviews, and we also have best of lists. So best books, best apps, and they're broken down by grade or by age. So if you're looking for best books for, kids that are 5 to 7, you can see a list of those on our site as well. And so what I want to do is actually have us explore the site for a second and find a book, movie, TV, game, app, something that your kid, that's your kid's favorite right now. And if you'll put that in the chat. And then I want us to actually go onto the site and look at that review on our site. So I will do a model of this on the screen, but if you want to look up your TV show, movie, or game, that would be great. Ooh, I see Octonauts. So I am on the Common Sense Media site. And so I can put that in the chat too if you want to visit commonsensemedia.org. And I'm going to look up Octonauts and make sure I spell it right and see what comes up. Ooh, so there's a lot of different stuff. So we have Octonauts here. Is it a leapfrog game or is it just a regular, let's see. So this is a TV show. And so you'll see the Common Sense rating here. You'll also see the age that it says it's most appropriate for. And then you'll also see what parents are saying about Octonauts, and then also what kids are saying as well. And then there's a content grid that will show you like the educational value, if there's positive messages, and positive role models and representations. And then you can also see that there's nothing here, so that's good. There's no violence, language or other things that you should be concerned about. But when you click on any of these, it'll give you some more information about that. And then a few things that are my favorite about our reviews. First, you can see really quickly what parents need to know. And then I love reading reviews from other, parents of just what to look out for. So, or what is beneficial about this particular game or app or TV show. And then finally at the end, there's what can you talk to your kids about? So this is really great to have a conversation with your kids about that particular app or game. So if you go to the search bar, you can find almost everything on the site in terms of a review for what your kids are interested in. So just remember those reviews are free and accessible to you at commonsensemedia.org. Okay, and then finally, I just wanted to end just with a little bit about online safety. And so the first thing is just to think about, once again, just social media and family values and having those conversations. So this comes back to that, family media agreement that we showed at the beginning of the night, but just thinking about like posts we never share on social, posts we need to ask permission for, and then also posts that are okay to share. So, modeling this as well, if you have younger kids, just thinking about, before you post a picture on social media, just what are our family values when it comes to posting and having those conversations. So just really thinking about privacy in those aspects of our, family values and what those are. And then speaking of privacy, just thinking about privacy before your kids are using certain apps. So this, for example, is the, privacy for Instagram, and you can, turn it on and off with a toggle button. So if you press this to private, that means you know who's looking at your pictures or posts. So you always want to make sure that your your social media accounts, or if your kids are on social media, that you know who is able to access them. So it's really easy to switch to private or not. And then some other things for privacy is just thinking about like turning off location settings in a lot of these apps to not allow them to know your location, and just also not letting them share your data, and having tough passwords that are hard to break. And for our kids, just not sharing their passwords with each other. So just reminding them not to share passwords with their friends is really important as well. And then I've put some more information if you're interested in some additional privacy tips. There's an article here that you can dig into some more privacy tips for your family. And then with social media, just some red flags to look out for. This doesn't necessarily mean that your child shouldn't be on social media, but just thinking about some of these different things like the public default settings, which I was just talking about before. Are they tracking your location, and can you turn that off? If not, maybe we don't want to be on that app. And just, can you see like cyberbullying or negative culture as you're kind of navigating the app, as you're deciding if you want your kid to be on social media. And these are also, like, as we're talking about social media, these are also really important as we're in a distance learning environment, just thinking about, as students are using like chat rooms and things that we might not necessarily view as social media, but just some of the norms that go with that. And I know within MCPS, they are using Common Sense Education's digital citizenship curriculum, which is teaching students, how to, act responsibly and just be caring in these environments as well. And then, Common Sense also has reviews of all of the different apps that your kid may want to be on. So this is just an example of TikTok. So you can go to our website, and I know TikTok's really popular right now. So if you wanted to learn more about it, a lot of these different apps, as our kids are, wanting to connect more with each other, there are things that you might want to, think about before and have a conversation about before they're on these apps. So there's short videos that explain the app. And then once again, there's that content grid of what you should know and just like what age is recommended for these particular social media apps. And then finally, just, cyberbullying, just if you're, your kid is, you feel like they might be experiencing cyberbullying, or, they're coming to you to talk about it, just what can you do, or what can your child do immediately? Just here are some tips if that happens. So just, block the bully, save and print out messages, sign off the computer, and hopefully come to you if they think they're having a situation online as well. And then to end, I just wanted to show we do have, Parents Ultimate Guides will kind of give you some information about all of these different apps that our kids may be using right now. So TikTok, Minecraft, Zoom, which we're on right now, Google Classroom, Instagram, Fortnite. So these will tell you like the safety, privacy things that you can look out for, or privacy settings. They'll also tell you like how to use it, why kids might be using them, just the fun things about them too. So it's just a really great place to go for some of the things that kids are really into right now.